Good morning to all. This is KP Chanali Kumari from Prakasham, PGT Botany. In the previous class, I told that the molecular biology and importance of DNA and RNA and types of differences between the DNA and RNA and their silent features, DNA replication I told. So in this class, I will tell the from the molecular biology topic, what are the important questions comes from the exam point of view. So the first question it is the what is the function of histones in DNA packaging? What is the once again I will repeat. What is the function of histones in DNA packaging? The function of histones is to package DNA into structural units is called nucleosomes. So the function of histones is to package DNA into structural units is called nucleosomes. These histones are main protein in chromatin, which is a component of cell nucleus. DNA wraps around histones and plays a role in gene regulation. So, this is about the function of histones in DNA packaging. The function of histones in DNA packaging is into structural units is called nucleosomes, and second one is the histones, they are main proteins in chromatin, which is component of cell nucleus. And third one is DNA wraps around histones and plays a role in gene regulation. And second question is the distinguish between heterochromatin and euchromatin. Which of the two is transcriptionally active? Second question is the distinguish between heterochromatin and euchromatin. Which of the two is transcriptionally active? So the differences heterochromatin and euchromatin. Heterochromatin, the chromatin that is more densely packed and stains dark, it is called heterochromatin. And this heterochromatin and euchromatin comes in the nucleosomes topic. The previous I told the nucleosome topic. The heterochromatin, it means the chromatin that is more densely packed and stains dark is called heterochromatin. And euchromatin, the chromatin that is loosely packed and stains light is called euchromatin. And this heterochromatin is inactive and euchromatin is transcriptionally active. So this is the differences between the heterochromatin and euchromatin. And third question, who proved that DNA is a genetic material? What is the organism they worked on? So, who proved that DNA is a genetic material? Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase. They proved that DNA is the genetic material. Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase, they proved that DNA is the genetic material. So, then which organism they worked? They worked with the virus that infect bacteria called bacteriophages. They worked with the viruses that infect bacteria called bacteriophages. So, who proved that DNA is genetic material? Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase. They proved that DNA is the genetic material, and they worked with the viruses that infect bacteria called bacteriophages. And next question, what is the function of DNA polymerase? What is the function of DNA polymerase? DNA polymerase, it is highly efficient enzyme which catalyzes polymerization of a large number of nucleotides in a very short time. This DNA polymerase, it is a highly efficient enzyme which catalyzes polymerization of a large number of nucleotides in a very short time. It also catalyzes the reaction with a high degree of accuracy. So this is about the function of DNA polymerase. And next question is what are the components of nucleotides? So these nucleotides, what are the components of nucleotides? And this nucleotide, it has three components. The previous I told that nucleotides have how many components? Three components are there. Nitrogen base, pentose sugar and phosphate molecule. The components of nucleotide has the three components. that is nitrogen base, pentose sugar and phosphate molecule. Next question, write the structure of the chromatin, and this chromatin word comes under the nucleus. So write the structure of the chromatin. The structure of the chromatin, it is a combination of DNA and histone. This chromatin, it is a combination of DNA and histone. It is present in the nucleus of the cell and is concerned with heredity and inheritance. And this chromatin, it is present in nucleus of the cell and it is concerned with heredity and inheritance. Light stained loosely packed chromatin is called euchromatin and dark stained densely packed chromatin is called heterochromatin. So once again I will repeat, what is the structure of chromatin? Chromatin, it is a combination of DNA and histone and it is present in nucleus of cell and it is concerned with heredity and inheritance. Light stained loosely packed chromatin is called euchromatin. Dark stained densely packed chromatin is called heterochromatin. And next question is the name any 3 viruses which have RNA as the genetic material. Once again I repeat the question. Name any 3 viruses which have RNA as the genetic material. 3 viruses are the influenza virus, polio virus and HIV. So these are the 3 viruses which have RNA as the genetic material. Once again repeat the answer. Influenza virus, polio virus and HIV. So this is next question, it is a very important question. Please note that question. What are the components of the transcription unit? In the previous class I told that in the transcription, what are the components of the transcription unit? The components of the transcription unit are promoter, structural gene and terminator. The components of the transcription unit are promoter, structural gene and terminator. So this is very important question. The components of transcription unit are promoter, structural gene and terminator. These are all the 2 marks questions. Next question is, what is the differences between exons and introns? What is the differences between exons and introns? Exons, these are coding sequences. They appear in mature or processed RNA. Exons, these are coding sequences. They appear in mature or processed RNA. Introns, these are non-coding sequences. When comes to exons, these are coding sequences. When comes to introns, these are non-coding sequences. They do not appear in mature or processed RNA. It's a quite opposite for exons and introns. Exons, they are coding sequences. When comes to introns, they are encoding sequences, non-coding sequences. And in these exons, they appear in mature or processed RNA. And when comes to introns, they do not appear in mature or processed RNA. Next question is, it is also very important next question. What is meant by capping and tailing? Once again I repeat question. What is meant by capping and tailing? Capping, it means adding of an unusual nucleotide. Adding of an unusual nucleotide. That means methyl guanosine triphosphate. Methyl guanosine triphosphate to the 5' of HN RNA is called capping. HN means heterogeneous nitrogen. HN RNA is called capping. And when it comes to tailing, adding of adenylate residues. Adding of adenylate residues, that is 200 to 300 to the 3 end is a template is called tailing. This 5N and 3N, it comes in this question, it comes topic under the transcription. So once again I'll repeat what is meant by capping and tailing. Capping means adding of an unusual nucleotide to the 5 end of HN RNA is called capping, and tailing, adding of adenylate residues to the 3 end of in a template is called tailing. So next question is what is meant by point mutation? Give an example. What is meant by point mutation? Give an example. The mutation that occurs in a single base pair of DNA is called point mutation. Once again I will repeat the answer. The mutation that occurs in a single base pair of DNA mole. The mutation that occurs in a single base pair of DNA mole is called point mutation. Example, sickle cell anemia. Example, sickle cell anemia. So next question is define peptide bond. Why are proteins referred to as a peptide bond? Next question is define peptide bond. Why are proteins referred to as a peptide chains? Definition for the peptide bond. The bond present between carboxyl group of amino acid and amino groups of adjacent amino acid by dehydration is called peptide bond. Definition for peptide bond is the bond present between carboxyl group of amino acid and amino groups of adjacent amino acid by dehydration is called a peptide bond. And next one is the proteins. Proteins are composed of long chains of amino acid which are connected by peptide bonds, hence they are referred as a polypeptide chains. In question I told why are proteins referred to as a peptide chains? Why? Because the proteins are composed of long chains of amino acids, so which are connected by the peptide bonds. So by this, hence they are referred as a polypeptide chains. And next one is what is meant by charging of tRNA? What is meant by charging of tRNA? tRNA, it means activation of amino acids in the presence of ATP. Activation of amino acids in the presence of ATP and linking to their cognate tRNA is known as charging tRNA. Once again I'll repeat the answer. Activation of amino acids in the presence of ATP and linking to their cognate tRNA is known as charging of tRNA. So next question is what is a regulator and a promoter? What is a regulator and a promoter? Regulator, it means it is a region of DNA involved in controlling the expression of one or more structural genes. It is a region of DNA involved in controlling the expression of one or more structural genes. It is called as a regulator. And what is a promoter? It is a region of DNA where RNA polymerase binds and initiates transcription. Promoter, it is a region of DNA where RNA polymerase binds and initiates transcription. So this is both the regulator and the promoter. And next question is the important question. Define stop codon and write the codons. Next one is define stop codon and write the codons. The codons which terminates the protein synthesis are called stop codons. Stop codon means the codons which terminate the protein synthesis are called stop codons. They are UAA, UAG, UGA. They do not code for any amino acid. The stop codon, they do not code for any amino acid. So this is very important. Define stop codon. Means the codon which terminates the protein synthesis are called stop codon. So next question is write any two differences between DNA and RNA. Write any two differences between DNA and RNA. DNA has deoxyribose sugar and it undergoes self-replication. RNA has ribose sugar and it does not undergoes any self-replication. So these are the two differences between DNA and RNA. And when it comes to next question, in a typical DNA molecule, the proportion of thymine is 30% of the N bases. Find out the percentages of other N bases. This is also a very important question. In a typical DNA molecules, the proportion of thymine is 30% of the N bases. Find out the percentages of other N bases. Adenine has 30%, guanine has 20%, and cytosine has 20%, total 70%. The answer is the adenine has 30%, guanine has 20%, cytosine also 20%, total 70%. So this is about the two marks questions regarding this molecular biology topic. So in this molecular biology topic, the weightage comes from the public exam is only 2 marks and 4 marks questions. So remember that 2 marks questions and 4 marks questions is very very important in this chapter. And next it comes to the 4 marks question. And when it comes to 4 marks questions, the questions comes from the 4 marks questions in this topic is define transformation in Griffith's experiment. Discuss how it helps in its identification of DNA as the genetic material. The question is the define transformation in Griffith's experiment. Discuss how it helps in the identification of DNA as a genetic material. So transformation, it is a genetic alternation of a cell resulting from the direct uptake and incorporation of genetic material from its surroundings through the cell membranes. So definition for transformation is it is a genetic alternation of a cell resulting from the direct uptake and incorporation of a genetic material from its surroundings through the cell membranes. In 1928, Frederick Griffiths conducted a series of experiments on a bacterium called Streptococcus pneumoniae, which is responsible for pneumonia. In 1928, Frederick Griffiths conducted an experiment on a bacterium called Streptococcus pneumoniae, which is responsible for pneumonia. During his experiment, he found that the bacteria can change its physical form. During the experiment, he found that bacteria can change its physical form. He has grown that bacteria in a culture medium. To prove this, he had grown a bacteria in a culture medium. He observed 2 strains of this bacterium, one forming smooth colonies with capsule S-type and other forming rough colonies without capsule R-type. So, by growing the bacteria on a different culture mediums, he observed 2 strains of this bacterium, one forming smooth colonies with capsule S-type and other forming rough colonies without capsule R-type. So the S-type cells are virulent while R-type cells are non-virulent. When live S-type cells are injected to mice, they suffered from pneumonia and died. When the S-type cells, when mice is there live, the S-type cells, they injected S-type cells, they suffered from pneumonia and they died. When live R-type cells are injected to mice, the disease did not appear, and the mice is survived. When heat killed S-type cells were injected, the disease did not appear. When heat killed S-type were mixed with the live R-type, they are injected to mice. The mice died of pneumonia, and live S-type cells were isolated from the body of dead mice. He concluded that 2R strain cells have been transferred by the heat-killed S strain bacteria. So by this must be due to transfer of the genetic material by the transforming principle. By this experiment, he proved that the DNA is a genetic material by transforming the genetic material by transforming principle. This is about the Griffith's experiment. And let's define the transformation in Griffith's experiment. So transformation means it is the genetic alternation of a cell resulting from the direct update and incorporation of genetic material from its surroundings through the cell membrane. So next question is discuss the significance of heavy isotope of nitrogen in the Michelson and Franklin experiment. So next question is discuss the significance of a heavy isotope and nitrogen in Michelson and Franklin experiment. Just now, a previous class I told this experiment. Matthew, Michelson and Franklin, they performed experiments on E. coli and proved that DNA replicates semi-conservatively. To prove that DNA replicates semi-conservatively, the scientists Matthew, Michelson and Franklin, they performed experiments in E. coli. For this, they used heavy isotope of nitrogen called 15N. It is not radioactive and can be separated from 14N based on densities only. And this replication of DNA of E. coli will be completed within 20 minutes. They grew E. coli in a medium containing 15 NH4Cl for many generations. As a result, this 15N was incorporated into newly synthesized DNA. So diagrammatic representation is also this for the separation of DNA by centrifugation. This is a diagrammatic representation. This heavy DNA mold could be distinguished from the normal DNA by centrifugation in cesium chloride. They took out the samples at various time intervals, extracted the DNA and centrifuged them to measure the densities. Thus, the DNA extracted from the culture of one generation after the transfer from 15N to 14N. The result after 20 minutes, it had a hybrid density. The DNA extracted after 2 generations, that means after 40 minutes, it consisted of equal amounts of hybrid DNA and light DNA. It is now proved that DNA replicates semi-conservatively. And next question is how many types of RNA polymerase exist in a cells, and write their names and functions. How many types of RNA polymerases exist in cells? Write their names and functions. There are 3 types of RNA polymerases in the nucleus, in addition to the RNA polymerase found in the organelles. They are RNA polymerase 1, RNA polymerase 2 and RNA polymerase 3. RNA polymerase 1, it transcripts rRNAs, that is 28S, 18S and 5.8S. And RNA polymerase 2, it transcripts the precursor of mRNA, the heterogeneous nuclear RNA. It transcripts the precursor of mRNA, the heterogeneous nuclear RNA, that is hnRNA. In RNA polymerase 3, it is responsible for transcription of tRNA, 5SR RNA and snRNAs, that is small nuclear RNAs. These are the 3 types of RNA polymerases exist in cells. So the next question is Write briefly about DNA polymerase. Write briefly about DNA polymerase. DNA polymerase, it is highly efficient enzyme as it has to catalyze polymerization of a large number of nucleotides in a very short time. Once again I'll repeat the point. First point, DNA polymerase, it is a highly efficient enzyme as it has to catalyze polymerization of a large number of nucleotides in a very short time. These DNA polymerases, they are essential for DNA replication, DNA repair, genetic recombination, reverse transcription, and the generation of antibody diversity. These DNA polymerases, they are widely used in molecular biology laboratories for DNA sequencing and molecular cleaning. So this is about the DNA polymerase. So DNA polymerase, it is highly efficient enzyme as it has to catalyze polymerization of large number of nucleotides in a very short time. And the next question is draw the schematic or diagrammatic representation of the lac operon. So this is the question, only diagrams comes for the 4 marks question. Draw the schematic or diagrammatic presentation of the lac operon. So this is the diagram. See the diagram in this: repressor mRNA, repressor mRNA, and inducer inactive repressor. And in absence of inducer, transcription. This lac mRNA, it gives us to beta galactosidase, permease, and transacetylase. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the lac operon. And next question is what are the differences between DNA and RNA? What are the differences between DNA and RNA? So DNA, it stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA, it stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. When it comes to RNA, it stands for ribonucleic acid. RNA, it stands for ribonucleic acid. This DNA, it is a double-stranded helical structure, and when it comes to RNA, it is a single-stranded helix. DNA, it is a double-stranded helical structure, and when it comes to RNA, it is a single-stranded helix. This DNA, it is stable under alkaline condition, and when it comes to RNA, it is unstable under alkaline condition. So DNA contains the sugar deoxyribose. When it comes to RNA, it contains the sugar ribose. So DNA, it is made up of more than 4 million nucleotides. When it comes to RNA, it is made up of 75 to 2000 nucleotides. So DNA, it is made up of more than 4 million nucleotides. When it comes to RNA, it is made up of 75 to 2000 nucleotides. And when it comes to DNA, it undergoes self-replication, and RNA, it does not undergo self-replication. So DNA, it is a genetic material, and when it comes to RNA, it is a non-genetic material. DNA, it does not participate directly in protein synthesis, and when it comes to RNA, it participates directly in protein synthesis. So metabolically, DNA is of one type, and metabolically, RNA is of 3 types. The base pairing of DNA is A to T and G to C, and the base pairing of RNA is A stands to U and G stands to C. So this is the differences between DNA and RNA. In these differences, the main point should remember that DNA, it is made up of more than 4 million nucleotides. DNA, it is made up of 4 million nucleotides. When it comes to RNA, it is made up of 75 to 2000 nucleotides. RNA, it is made up of 75 to 2000 nucleotides. And this Metabolically, this DNA it is of one type, and metabolically it is RNA it is of three types. These are to remember these differences is very simple. If you know that DNA stands, it is a deoxyribonucleic acid, and when it comes to RNA, it is ribonucleic acid. And everyone knows that DNA it is a double-stranded helical structure, and when it comes to RNA, it is a single-stranded helix. DNA it contains the sugar deoxyribose. When it comes to RNA, it contains the sugar ribose only. So this is the differences between the DNA and RNA. And my next question is what is the important features of genetic code? What is the important features of genetic code? So the important features of genetic code are: genetic code, it is a set of instructions that direct the translation of DNA into 20 amino acids. Once again I will repeat the point. It is genetic code, it is a set of instructions that direct the translation of DNA into 20 amino acids. And this genetic code it consists of 64 triplets of nucleotides. This genetic code it consists of 64 triplets of nucleotides, and each triplet is called as a codon. Each triplet is called codon. 61 codons code for amino acids, and 3 codons do not code for any amino acids. Here in the above point I told that 64 triplets of nucleotides are present in these codons. Among these 64, 61 codons code for amino acids, and 3 codons do not code for any amino acids. Hence they are called stop codons. These 3 codons they are called as a stop codons. So these are the important features of the genetic code. In this genetic code it consists of how many nucleotides? 64 triplets nucleotides is there. Among these 64, 61 codons code for amino acids, and remaining 3 it does not code any amino acids. So these 3 codons are called as a stop codons. These 3 codons is called as a stop codons. And the next question is describe the sequential steps in the replication of DNA molecule. Describe the sequential steps in the replication of DNA molecule. The double helix is unwound by helicase enzyme exposing 2 single-strand DNAs. The double helix is unwound by helicase enzyme exposing 2-strand DNAs. This creates a replication fork on 2, which replication occurs on each fork. The single-stranded binding proteins cover the DNA strands, preventing them from annealing into a double strand. The original strand is used as a template strand to synthesize 2 DNA strands in 5-3 direction with the help of an extension formed by RNA primer. This DNA polymerase it can synthesize the strand only in 5-3. Thus, one strand is synthesized in short bursts, joined together later on RNase H and DNA polymerase. This RNA polymers that are bound to DNA template and removes the primers by RNA hydrolysis. The gaps formed due to hydrolysis of RNA are filled by DNA polymerase. These DNA pieces they are filled by deoxyribonucleotides and they are joined together by the enzyme ligase, thus completing the replication process. So these are the sequential steps in the replication of the DNA molecule. Total 8 replication steps are there, and the main step is you should remember that the double helix is unwound by helicase enzyme exposing 2 single-strand DNAs. And in this, after when one strand on this synthesized in the joined together, later on RNase and DNA polymerase recognize. And these RNA polymers they are bound to DNA template and removes the primers by RNA hydrolysis. So the gaps formed due to hydrolysis of RNA, they are filled by the DNA polymerase. So the DNA pieces filled by the deoxyribonucleotides and they joined together by the enzyme ligase, thus completed the replication process. So this is about the sequential steps in the replication of DNA molecule. And the next question is the write briefly on nucleosomes. Write briefly on nucleosomes. Nucleosomes, see the structure. Nucleosome, it is a bead-like structure of chromosome and it consists of 8 histone molecules. It is histone octamer and DNA segment of about 150 base pairs. In these nucleosomes, it consists of 8 histone molecules and a DNA segment of about 150 base pairs. The negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer to form the structure of nucleosome. The negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer to form the structure of nucleosome. This nucleosome helps to fold DNA into a compact form. And DNA and basic histone proteins constitute chromatin. The nucleosomes constitute the repeating unit of a structure in a nucleus called chromatin. The nucleosomes in a chromatin, they are seen as beads on string when we viewed under electron microscope. So this is about the structure of the nucleosomes. Nucleosomes, it is a bead-like structure of chromosomes and it contains 8 histone molecules and a DNA segment of about 150 base pairs. And this, what is the structure of the nucleosome is the negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer to form the structure of the nucleosomes. And these nucleosomes, it helps to fold DNA into a compact form. When we see under the electron microscope, this nucleosome in chromatin, they are seen as a beads on string. So this is about the structure of the nucleosomes. Next question is the give an account of the Hershey and Chase experiment. What did it conclusively prove? If both DNA and proteins contained phosphorus and sulfur, do you think the result would have been same? This is the question. Give an account of the Hershey and Chase experiment. What did it conclusively prove? If both DNA and proteins contained phosphorus and sulfur, do you think the result would have been the same? So next one comes to this. Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase in 1952 worked with the virus that infect bacteria, bacteriophages, to prove that DNA is the genetic material. Genetically, bacteriophage attacks bacteria and manufactures more virus particles. And Hershey and Chase worked to discover whether it was protein or DNA from the virus that entered the bacteria. Once again, I will repeat the point. Hershey and Chase worked to discover whether it was a protein or DNA from the virus that entered the bacteria. To prove this, they grew some viruses on a medium that contained radioactive phosphorus and some other on a medium that contained radioactive sulfur. To prove that, they grew some viruses on a medium that contained radioactive phosphorus and some other on a medium that contained radioactive sulfur. So, viruses grown in presence of radioactive phosphorus contained radioactive DNA but not radioactive protein, because DNA contains phosphorus but protein does not. Once again, I will repeat this point. Viruses grown in presence of radioactive phosphorus, it contained radioactive DNA but not radioactive protein, because DNA contains phosphorus but protein does not. Similarly, Virus grown on radioactive sulfur, it contains radioactive protein but not radioactive DNA, because DNA does not contain sulfur. DNA does not contain sulfur. So similarly we should observe the fifth and sixth point. See the differences here. Viruses grown in the presence of radioactive phosphorus, it contained radioactive DNA, and viruses it grows on radioactive sulfur, it contains the radioactive protein. So bacteria which were infected with virus that had radioactive DNA, radioactive DNA, it indicates that DNA was the material that passed from the virus to the bacteria. So therefore DNA is a genetic material that is passed from virus to the bacteria. If both DNA and proteins contained phosphorus and sulfur, the result would be have the different from the result. See, this was given by the Hershey and Chase experiments. So this is the this was diagrammatically, experimentally they proved that DNA is the genetic material, and if both DNA and proteins it contains phosphorus and sulfur, the result would be that different. So they proved by the experiment. So the Alfred and Hershey and Martha Chase, they proved they worked in 1952 and proved that DNA is the genetic material. So this is the question that give an account of the Hershey and Chase experiment, and if both DNA and proteins contains phosphorus and sulfur, do you think the result would have be the same? So this by this the questions from this chapter, the weightage of the questions from this chapter is only 2 marks and 4 marks questions will come, and the 8 marks questions is not will come. So the weightage of these questions I told that 2 marks and 4 marks questions. By this the molecular biology topic is finished. Thank you all.